Okay, so this is like a training video for new teachers of English, my new teachers, or for helpers, for my helpers from England, or from Scotland, or from the United States, or from Australia, or from New Zealand, or from any other native-speaking English countries, or anybody else who speaks English. Okay. This is basically a training video, and I want to show you how I teach English and how I learn languages, how I learn languages, and how if you want to learn languages, you can do it too. But this is to teach you or to show you what I want you to do with my students. Um, and basically, this is one of my institutes. This is one of my institutes. I'm going to explain what I use. I don't use books because I think I've been using books for about 4 or 5 years before I started other techniques, and I think books are very boring. The problem with books is that there's lots and lots of exercises to write, and if you've ever studied languages, you'll see studying languages takes about 6 years to learn the language. If you only speak one language, but you have studied another language, I'm sure you have studied another language because in secondary school, for sure, you studied modern languages, you studied Spanish or German or something, Italian or French, and you probably didn't learn anything. You probably studied the modern language for about 5 years and you learned nothing or very little. That's true for everybody, more or less. My students here, they study 5 years of English in school and they know nothing. And then they study 5 years of English in a private institute, and it takes them 5 or 6 years to start speaking. My objective is that my students speak, but once they start speaking, it's a lot quicker. If you have come to Argentina and you live here, or you're staying here for a while, or you've been in South America, maybe you speak Spanish now. Normally you speak Spanish in about 3 or 4 months. And I'm very interested in what's the difference between immersion, why do you learn so quickly when you're here, and why does it take 5 or 6 years to learn when you study the language in a school? So the idea is in my institute, I don't want to study the language, because studying takes too long. I want them to speak it. From day one, the first day they come to my institute, they're going to start speaking English. I do have books like this, but they're not very good. It's a good structure, but if you sit down and write things, it takes too long to do it. Writing something takes about 10 times longer than saying it. So I want my students to say it. If we only speak in class and we never write anything, we can do things 10 times faster, or maybe 15 times faster. The idea is to reduce that 5 years to just 1 year eventually. I'm working on it, I'm getting there, we're doing it. So one thing is we don't write initially. We do write, but not right now. When you were a baby, you didn't learn to write first and speak your first language. First you spoke your first language, first you spoke English for about 5 years, and then you went to primary school and you learned to write. And that was true for me in Spanish. I didn't write anything. I came here and I was speaking 4 months, and I have been speaking Spanish for about 5 years, and then I started to write, and then after 1 year of practicing to write, I could write, no problem. I can now write, no problem. I make errors, but who cares? So the way to learn language is not writing, and the problem with books is it's all text-based, it's all writing-based. Also, that kind of excludes dyslexic students. It's all text-based. It's a nice structure and all that. It has nice pictures, but we can make better ones. We can make real-life ones, not just boring activities like this, which take about half an hour to complete. I say it takes about half an hour. They take about 10 minutes or 15 minutes for every activity. And the idea is repetition. The idea is to repeat the vocabulary. So for example, they teach you vocabulary, like ants, dog, fish, and then you have to repeat it in the next exercise, and you have to repeat it in the next exercise, and you keep repeating it until it goes into your brain. And it takes about, if you write it, it takes about 30 minutes to repeat it 5 times. But if we speak it, we could do that repetition about 5 minutes, or probably about 3 minutes. We can do it a lot quicker. And this is what we do in class. I want you to speak with my students. We're going to speak directly. I'm going to show you what technique I use, which I guess I have to do another video because it can't be too long. And we're going to talk about spaced repetition.